What's up, guys? Welcome to the Shelby Clement Podcast. This is a podcast where we are going to talk about everything. Like, literally nothing is off limits. We are figuring out business, life, religion, and motherhood all at one time. I am a small town girl chasing a big old dream that's here to let you in on this entire journey as I completely surrender to Jesus and let him guide me on what he has next. This podcast is going to be filled with raw solo episodes from yours truly. I'm going to bring you along on the journey every week of what I have going on, as well as I'm going to interview big brand names, aka women that have done what I am doing, that are willing to get unfiltered and raw with us to bring you along on their journey as well. Guys, I hope you freaking love this podcast. I am here just to be a girlfriend, a friend, a mentor, whatever it is, to let you know that you are not alone in this journey called life and building a business and chasing your God-given talent. Guys, welcome to the Shelby Clement Podcast. Let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited. We actually met each other online in Jillian Murphy's community, and I immediately was just like, I love this girl's energy. I love her drive. I love her work ethic. I love her outfits that I wish I could pull off. And so I was like, I have to get on the podcast because we just need to be blessed with her knowledge, her awesomeness, and just like, Jessie, thank you so much. Guys, Jessie Jarvis is here. She's about to tell us why and how she got into the industry that she did. I'm so excited to learn more about cows and all the things. So tell us everything about you and just, I can't wait. Let's go, girl.
Oh my goodness, that is the best introduction. Can you just follow me around and be my freaking hype girl every single day?
Absolutely. Whatever you need.
I love that. Yeah. So I live on a ranch and I grew up as the third generation on my family's ranching operation. So my grandparents bought our ranch here in Southern Idaho in 1946. So this is our 80th year in business. And I grew up as an only child. And the reason that I mention that is I feel like you're one of two ways when you're an only child. You're either very, very spoiled, or you're basically treated like an adult and you are expected to, to work and do all those things. Well, when you're an only child on a ranch, that's typically how that goes. So
I was going to say you're a farmer's daughter, so I don't feel like the whole spoiled only child thing applies to
no, it does not.
That industry at all. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I was basically, I was highly involved in a ranching operation growing up. I remember that my parents they'd do their taxes on the kitchen table and I would pull up a chair right next to them. And nothing from the business was ever off limits. That being said, obviously looking back now, there were of course times of stress that my parents never let me in on that we as parents do to protect our children as we should. Absolutely. But otherwise, I was really, really involved in it. Whether that was like being a cowgirl in the summer when I was home or on the weekends, whatever that looked like. But when I got ready to graduate, I didn't really want anything to do with agriculture. I grew up in rural America, small town life. And I was like, no, I want to go see the big city. And I wanted to go be an anesthesiologist. So I went to college.
Wow. Okay.
With the idea of going pre-med. So I needed a biology degree. And about 6 weeks into that, I was like, wait a minute. This is not the life for me.
Shut up.
Yeah. I had gone to a really small liberal arts college, which I'm from a very conservative, again, like rural America ranching family. I was the only farmer ranch kid there for the most part. So it just opened my eyes to kind of like how the rest of the world is, which was so great. And I'm so thankful for it. But I quickly switched to a business degree. And then after college, I ended up getting an internship that after that summer internship turned into a full-time job offer to be the communications director for the Idaho State Cattle Association. So basically what that is kind of like they work as a lobbying group or a membership organization working on behalf of ranchers in the state of Idaho. So I led all of their communications, all of their marketing. That was 2012, 2015, when the internet was totally the Wild West far as, do you remember when it was so easy to go viral on Facebook? Yeah, those were the days to be in marketing.
It's the Wild West right now, but not in a good way. I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. So I had that marketing and communications background. And then about 3 years after I worked there, I moved back home to the ranch. And so I have been here ever since for the last, what is that now? I think I've been back now for 13 years. 13
years. Okay.
Yep. And when I came home, I was just dating my husband. We've obviously since got married. We have 2 children. They're 8 and 5. Our daughter just had her 5th birthday yesterday. Oh, wow. And let me tell you what, that is a trip. Oh, yeah. But So anyways, once my husband and I moved back, then he became part of our ranching operation as well. And so there wasn't necessarily enough for me to do full time. And so I kind of dabbled. I did some freelance marketing and communications. I then went and worked for a company called the Boutique Hub, is
Yeah.
a part-time remote type role. And that really immersed me into the world of membership and digital marketing and course creation and all of that. And so I spent 7 years there. And at that same time, kind of March of 2020 is when my husband and I have always been very well connected within our industry, whether that's farming, ranching. My husband rodeoed. So we have a
Mhm.
lot of just different sectors of the industry and really strong networks within that. So he and I would always get calls or texts from people saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a job. Do you happen to know of anybody who's hiring?" Or, "Hey, I'm looking for a new employee of whatever it was.
Yeah.
Do you know of anybody who's looking for a job?" And so we kind of felt like matchmakers. And there was a time it was the beginning of March in 2020 where I got 4 calls in a single week from people in my own network who were either looking for a new job or looking to hire somebody.
Yeah.
Wow, if this is a problem within my own personal network, this has to exist on a much larger scale. And again, at that time, within the past 10 years, I had been the girl who was in college looking for an internship. I had been the girl who was looking for that job out of college that we also desperately need so that we don't have to
Yeah.
go back home and live on our parents' couch.
Yeah.
And I had been on the hiring side. I remember helping hire for our office's executive assistant.
Mhm.
Or when I came back to the ranch, I did freelancing and contracting. And then I had that part-time remote role. And so I just had such a well-rounded experience
Yeah.
on both the job seeker side and the employer side. And so that is how Of the West came to be. We've now been in business for 5 years, and we serve the agriculture and Western industries as the place for people to go connect with job seekers and employers. So if an employer is looking to fill a role in agriculture, they come to our site, they post that job. Job seekers then find that, vice versa. If a job seeker is looking for a job, they come, they create an account. Hopefully they find their perfect match, and that's how it works.
That's so cool. Okay, let's just like
I know that was a lot.
let's take a minute. Like when I freaked out when you said you were a biology major, so was I. Well, not really. I wasn't going pre-med. I was just going into physical therapy. So like the moment I took a biology class, I was like, this is not for me. Like I can't do it. And so like that really humbled me really quickly. So when you said that, I was like, wow, we are very similar in that front. And then also too, to do like full circle, you were like, okay, I grew up with this family business. I don't want anything to do with this family business. And now I'm like back home kind of with the family business. Isn't it so cool like how God works? It's like, okay, go do what you need to do, but like I already have your story written and your purpose filled out. And so like now this is what you get to
Uh-huh.
do. And then the fact that like you had no idea that you would be able to connect people with their dream jobs or employers with like really great employees. And now look at you. Now that's what you do for a living. Like if you thought back even just because you said it's what, 4 years old? This part of your business is 4 years old. If you think back to even like 5 years ago or even 4 years ago before you even had this business, could you say confidently sitting here like, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know what God has in store for me.
No, absolutely not. And even now, feeling so confident in my business, I still have no idea. I mean, there are
No
tons of
idea.
opportunities, and I think that is honestly one of my biggest what would I call this? Like pieces of advice for
Yeah.
people, especially younger people, is I watch so many people get so fixated on one goal and they get tunnel vision. And there is
Yes.
nothing more detrimental than tunnel vision. I mean, tunnel vision is great when it comes to not bothering or not worrying about what your competitors are doing, or like you have to focus on running your own race and your journey. And again, you are God's only version of you. So you need tunnel vision in that aspect. But when it comes to the achievements that we want or the goals that we have, you have to be willing to change your course
Mm,
for even
yeah.
bigger and better opportunities because it's not your plan, it's God's plan.
God, that's so good. That's so good because like truly a lot of people feel like either A, they're on this path and you hit it like literally nail on the head. Like they're on this path and they're like, I can't sway from this path because this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. When in reality, like you can get like a curveball that you weren't expecting. And that's actually the path you should be taking versus the path that you're on. That's number one. And number two is you're not in control here. You are not in control. And he has your plan and your purpose really drawn out for you. If you were to give, I guess you did just give advice, but let's dive a little bit deeper. If you were to give, maybe what is the advice you give to yourself when you wake up and you're like, I just like don't even know the path that I'm supposed to be going down, or I don't even know what I'm doing. Am I supposed to be doing this anymore? Like the hard days, like what really gets Jessie through those hard days? Obviously surrendering to Jesus, but at the same time, like what is something that you practice that people listening could really start applying to their life and their business that would maybe just change the game for their mindset?
Yeah. Oh, this is a tough question. I think that every business has a mission. Like you have a very deep root in the specific thing that your business was put on this earth to do. And there are a lot of other elements that are obviously involved in that, whether it's, okay, well, this is my mission, but then on the side, I've created courses or we work on resumes or all of the different things that we do. But what we are rooted in is helping find jobs and find employees for people. So when things, when they get fuzzy or we lose clarity, I always go back to what is our primary mission? Because all of that other stuff, and is it necessary for a business to operate? Yes, of course. But at the end of it all, it really comes back to what is our core mission and how can I continue to move forward with that core mission? Because the other stuff can obviously change at any given time. But most businesses, when you think about Amazon, right? It did start as a bookstore, but it was an online retailer. Like that is still what Amazon is to this day, is an online retailer. Yes, they're no longer just a bookstore, but it is their core mission to sell products online. So whatever that may change or, take shape in a different form, but typically for most of us, I feel like we always still stay rooted to that core mission that we once started with.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And then next question is, we live in such a world of social media, right? Obviously it's what I do. It's how I found you. It's how we found one another. It's how you're really building your business. If someone was listening to this and they are utilizing social media for their business, what's one key piece of advice that you would give them to just keep going? Because ultimately we live in a world of like instant gratification, right? So like they want to post and they want to be like famous, or they want to post and they want to get all the clients, whether they're just like a mom and pop shop, or maybe they're an influencer or content creator, or maybe just a rancher, whatever the case may be. First off, how essential is using social media? And second, what advice would you give someone when you are building a brand and a business, of like really what to focus on when it comes to social media, especially in your industry? Because I love seeing videos of cows and literally like the everyday, like I even tell my sister and my brother-in-law, I'm like, if y'all would just get on and showcase like the operations, because they have a really massive operation, like just show it a day in the life. Like people think that that is very interesting, and like that is all you have to do. And so like just coming from you and in a different market and industry, I was just curious of like what your advice to people is, not necessarily in your industry, but just as a marketing tactic as a whole when it comes to social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess two kind of different ways of going about this. The first one is you have to build a personal brand. And for a business, then obviously
Can you stop and just say that again?
You have to build a personal brand.
Okay, keep going.
The other thing too, kind of going back to that, is your business, again, going back to that, like it is rooted in a core mission and your business has a personal brand. Of course, we don't call it that. We call it a business brand, but your business still has a personal identity. It's why people choose to do business with you instead of business with whatever other competitor exists in the marketplace. And so it is absolutely vital that you are showcasing those things that make you unique, that are important to you, that are part of your everyday life. And again, those everyday life pieces may not be unique to only you, but it is what allows you to uniquely connect with people, which builds trust. So the next piece of that is, which I love that you mentioned your sister and brother-in-law about how they have so much great stuff to share. That's actually how I first got started. So when I moved back home from big city life and moved to the ranch, that is, again, Instagram was in its infancy. And so that is what first drew people to me, is because I showed the behind the scenes of ranch life. Well, ranch life, there's 2% of the population that produces food for the rest of the 100% of us that live in America. So if you are 2% of the population and you live on a farm or ranch or you're involved in agriculture, that means that the other 98% of people are probably enamored or infatuated or have no real connection to doing what it is that you do. So that is something that is unique and exciting to them. They want to see more of it. So that's actually how I even built a following in the first place, was sharing those glimpses of everyday life. Now, obviously, my everyday life has changed. At the time when I first moved home, I didn't have kids. I didn't have a business the way that I do now. And so the way in which I show up online has obviously changed. At the time, again, I was much better at it than I am now, just because I do kind of feel like I'm one of those rubber bands that's pulled in 1,000 different
Yeah.
directions. And I do not dedicate as much time to creating content as I should. So I am guilty of that. I know that other people listening are like, yeah, that's me. But you know what? We have to do it anyways, because I will tell you, Of the West would never have been as successful as it is if I did not develop that personal brand. Like, our business would not be in the place that it is now had I not first had a personal brand. I have had some incredible opportunities. I've been on magazine covers. I have been on national TV. We've had like TV crews come to our ranching operation and follow us around for a couple of days. All of those opportunities would have never existed had I not had a personal brand. And again, well, those are really cool experiences and examples to share, but just being able to have those types of touch points that then, whether that is that created an introduction or led to some other opportunity, down the line, down the line, down the line, that then became a big break. It is all rooted in the fact that I put the work in developing that personal brand.
If First off, kudos to you. If you haven't like sat back and was like, holy shit, pat on my back, because building a personal brand, number one, is not for the faint of heart at all. Like,
No.
literally, guys, it is, when I tell you, it is like the days of you're like, what am I even doing this for? And then all of a sudden it clicks and like people are there and they're watching it and they're supporting you. And like then she has blown up in her business, but you've also been featured in so many amazing accolades. Like, did you ever in a million years, when you left the ranch to go to school in the big old city, did you think that literally you would come back and be like, holy crap, like we have news stations here, I was on a magazine, and not to just say like it's all for that, the glitz and glam, but like you worked really freaking hard for this. And so we're going to take a moment to like celebrate instead of suppress. So like give me, like, if you could like think back to the moments that you were on a magazine or got interviewed, like did you take the time to be like, holy crap, like this is my life and like I've worked really hard to do this, I never saw this coming, but God's so dang good?
And honestly, no, because I am one of those people who is just a natural born hustler, and like I've achieved it. That's great. Checking it off the list. Like, what's next? And so I am terrible about actually just like sitting in the moment and really celebrating. That's one of those things I absolutely need to get better on. But I mean, I will tell you, it is just so surreal. I truly remember walking down our gravel driveway to go get the mail from the mailbox. That was like one of the exciting things to do as a kid, right? I don't know if it's because your
Yeah.
parents trust you to go do something by yourself or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
was. But I remember, and then I'd get the mail and I'd thumb through the magazines, and magazines were always my favorite. And I was always that girl, like you'd go to the grocery store and I would buy the People Style Guide or whatever that looked like, and, Teen Vogue. And I was a magazine girl. I always have been. So it's probably no shock that I somehow ended up in the world that I'm in. But to know that, like, I have been on the cover of the magazines that I would walk down and get out of my parents' mailbox as a little girl. Or that I also remember we're big news watchers because, again, if you're a rancher, you got to know what the weather's going to do the next day. And the only way to get that, especially growing up in the 90s, was to watch the weather on the news. So we would watch the news every single night at 5 o'clock. To know that I have been featured on the same local news station that I watched growing up as a little girl, like that honestly is mind blowing. And the reason, I'm a very humble person, and so it kind of makes me uncomfortable to even like share that with you guys. But I think I share that for two reasons. One, if I can do that shit, anybody can. There is nothing necessarily special
Boom.
about me. Yes, there is special stuff about all of us. So don't take that for
Totally.
exactly what it is. But I am not the smartest in the class. I am not the most outgoing. There is nothing that I am absolutely at the top of my game at. I am probably mediocre at best at a lot of things, and I put in the work consistently. I show up. I don't give up. I have grit, but none of that is anything that other people can't also have. So
Yes.
if I can do it, anybody can freaking do it. It is not as hard as we make it out to be.
I'm in the nudes. Just kidding. I actually just want to talk to y'all about nudes. Y'all, if you have not heard about this brand, it is probably one of the best brands that you can have as a working mom, a stay-at-home mom, a lady that really wants to just be professional and throw on a blazer. You have anything from a slinky rib tee to the perfect tee to literally the everyday tee. They have something for every single thing. You have your matching set just like this. The PJs are out of this freaking world. I have probably a million of them. And the best part about what Daralan did when she created this brand is the whole goal of nudes is to fit real bodies. Meaning whether you maybe have tried a shirt on and maybe it hugs your arm in the wrong place so it feels really big, or maybe it's the waist where it pinches your, love handles, or maybe your armpit fat, whatever it is, it really does make you feel confident. I'm a mom of two boys. I own a business. And so there's days that I can dress like this and go to carpool drop off. And then there's days where I have to actually get on stage and present in front of a lot of people. Nudes has actually been in my closet and has been a staple of my wardrobe for years. It has helped me with my confidence level, no matter what shape or size I was in, whether that was after babies, before babies, whatever the case was, there was always something that really did just fit my body exactly how I needed it to for me to feel confident and elevated at the same time. It is literally the best basics that you can add to any collection in your closet, and it honestly has become the go-to thing that I've grabbed every day. So if you are someone new to nudes and you've never heard of it, don't worry. I have a link in my show notes for you to grab. And also, guess what? I have a 20% code for you to utilize right now. So you can also get obsessed with nudes and then thank me later. Or maybe your husband will be mad because you'll have such an obsession. But hey, at least we'll be cute, matching, and confident. Check out the link. Let me know what you think, and I'll chat with you soon. I'm really glad that you said that, truly. Multiple things you said. We're very similar in the sense of like hustle, because like every single time I would accomplish something, I would be like, okay, what's something else that I could accomplish? And it was like this, like, I don't want to say disease that I have, because it was like I would suppress what I did and just be like, oh, it was okay. Like, because like when people talk about me or give me like shout out or kudos or whatever the proper word that I'm looking for right now, I literally my entire body shrinks. Like, I would rather be a hype woman for someone else than one for me.
Yeah.
So I find that everything that you just said is the most relatable thing, and that's like what I wanted this podcast when I really rebranded it. So I think that this is honestly the perfect time for you to come on here because I want everybody listening to this and hear me very loud and clear that we are just two ordinary girls that grew up and worked really hard to where we are. There was failure along the way. There was lessons along the way. I cried a lot. I still cry to this day. My mindset is all over the place. But the thing is that I'm actually learning in therapy right now is to celebrate, take the time to celebrate the things that we do achieve, because otherwise we're going to still like stay stuck in that cycle of like, what's next that I can achieve? What's next that I can achieve? And so like, that's like me telling you from one humble, very like, I don't want to be acknowledged right now kind of girl, that like just take the moments and like really say like, holy crap, because your babies are watching you and they're like, if my mom can do it, then I can do it. Just like the other woman that's listening to this podcast right now, that's like, if Jessie can do that in her industry, leaving her family's business, wanting to go to the big city, thinking she wanted to do something completely different, to have God call her back and for her to actually accomplish these things, like I can do anything. And like, I think that that's just so powerful that you shared it in a way of saying like, I'm just a normal girl chasing my dreams, and with, hard work and grit, like anything is freaking possible. So thank you so much for just sharing that, truly.
Oh, well, I really do like that. I think that is one of the things, and I know that when I say like I'm a normal girl, yes. Have I had things, handed to me? Yeah, I probably haven't had to work as hard as other people, because there's people out there on the streets that are having to like really hustle, right? So I am definitely aware that I am very privileged in this life, but I feel like even people who, I mean, we look at professional athletes, right? Okay, well, if LeBron James, it's no wonder that his son plays in the NBA, because his dad's freaking LeBron James. He's had so many more opportunities and connections and whatever else. Guess what? If you don't want it, you're not going to show up to practice. If you're not going to show up to practice, you're not going to get any better. If you're not going to get any better, you're dang sure not going to make it to the NBA. So yes, does somebody like Bronny James have probably more opportunity than other people. Yes, there is no denying that, but it is the work ethic that you have to have. You cannot make somebody want it. So you have to come with I want this bad enough. I'm willing to do anything
Yeah, for sure.
within reason. We don't do wild and crazy stuff. We do anything
No.
within reason.
Yes, we have morals.
But I mean, you have to want it. And so I really am an ordinary girl who has had some great opportunities, but there is, whether it is a Sunday morning or a Monday night or whenever it is, I always have an I want it drive behind me. And that's what you have to have in order to succeed.
Yeah, I do believe though in business and what I've kind of learned too, that even with like things that you want and how you want to get there, it's who you know and the connections that you have.
Mhm.
So everything about business in general, whether you want to hear me say this loud and clear or not, is about connections that you have. What
Oh, it
rooms are you
totally is.
getting in front of? Who are you talking to? Who are you going outside of your comfort zone to shoot your shot with? Like, you have to be a disruptor for people to know who you are, but also stand really true in who you are as a human being, in your mission, in your core, in your values, and say, like, I want this. How am I going to get there? Who do I need to know? What rooms do I need to be
Mhm.
in? And so I truly believe that even if you grow up someone like LeBron James' son, and he's like, all right, son, like, I have the connections to get you there. But exactly what Jessie said to anybody listening to this is, you have to act. We give you the tools, but like, if you don't use the tools to get to the destination, then you're not going to get there
Yeah.
in a great way. So all of that to be said, like, it really does take a lot of grit and determination. And literally, what discipline do you have to get up over and over and over and over again to put in the work and the practice? But we're here to tell you on this podcast that it is possible. Like, anything that you want in life is possible. Pray about it, journal about it, put in the work about it, all the things. Because truly, like, just sitting across from you, this is so cool to hear your story of like where you were, what you thought, how you, like, what you and your husband have developed based on just like the need of people, what they ask of y'all. And that's just like so freaking cool to hear and just like have just a genuine conversation about.
No, it really is. It's so mysterious how God works. When I was growing up, I was one of those girls who you would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I had a different answer every day. I had
Every day.
no real idea, but I always knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to own my own business because I saw my parents do that, and I just saw,
Yes.
the hard work that they had to put in, but how rewarding it was, and the flexibility that they had in life. And I will tell you what, my mother never missed a field trip. She was there for every single field trip that I ever had. And if I would have had siblings, she would have been there for every single one of theirs too. Like,
Yeah.
and that was something that, again, being a business owner, that afforded her that opportunity. It's not that she wasn't working that day, because I know that she was working early in the morning before we left and worked late at night when she got home, whatever that looked like. But I just remember I knew I wanted to be a business owner, and I never knew what that would look like until the idea for Of the West really came to fruition. And of course we've owned businesses aside from that, but it really is like when you find that thing that is your true purpose in life and like what God put you on this earth for, it is just incredible how that continues to feed you.
Absolutely. I think that this goes right into the next question of what I have for you, because, obviously they always say this saying, like, if you grow up as a farmer's daughter, like, you are, or a farmer's child, you're just bred differently, right? They always say it. My sister says it. I mean, we sold ours when we were 5. So, I mean, you take what you get here. But my sister's raising 4 babies on a farm too, and she says it all the time as well. But what I want to ask you next is, what do you hope and pray that you instill in your babies that your parents instilled in you growing up?
Oh, obviously a work ethic. You can't get anywhere in life without a work ethic. And it is one of those things that, man, I tell you what, I don't necessarily know that that can be taught. I think that that is something that you have to see emulated through life. Like if I get an employee now and they're not a hard worker, it's really hard to push somebody to find their work ethic, right? That is
Yes.
something that has to be developed. I feel like through life, whether it is showing up for school even when you don't want to, or sports, or whatever that looks like. It doesn't necessarily have to be work in the form of chores or unfun stuff. I think that especially when it comes to kids, you really have to reward them for that because
Yeah.
that's why we do it. the reason I have a work ethic is because I get rewarded for it, right? Whether it is a big check or the opportunity to not miss a field trip for our children or whatever that looks like, we are rewarded for the effort that we put in. And so I think it's important to make sure that when you are teaching your children work ethic, that you are giving them the opportunities to be rewarded for
Yeah.
that and not just work until they absolutely hate it and they don't want anything to do with it and then they lose their work ethic. The other thing is, and I guess kind of similar to that, is I look back on some of the moments in life and I am so glad my parents made me do hard things I didn't want to do. I still remember, so here in Southern Idaho, we don't get a lot of rain. We get like 11 inches of rain in an entire year, which is
Wow.
what
Okay.
some people get in like a month or two.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're in a very, very dry climate. And if we have any kind of a crop, we have to irrigate it. So the water comes out of a ditch and you either have like a hand line that you have to move by hand, a pivot, a wheel line, something of that nature. And so I remember there was a time, and I was probably like 13 or 14, maybe 15, but we had to move hand lines and it was hot and it is in the summer and you are sweaty. And my parents told me that I needed to go out there and do it myself. And it's probably like a good like half mile of hand lines. And they're these really long 40-foot pipe and they've got water in them. They're really heavy. And like it's just not very fun. And I remember just being out there bawling because I didn't want to do it. It was hard. I didn't think I could do it. It was hot.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe my parents were making me do it. And how many years later, 20 some years later, I still remember that. And I thank God my parents made me do stuff like that. That again, life is hard, right? And people who quit are unwilling to work through the hard stuff. They're not willing to work
Right.
through the stuff that they don't want to have to do. But again, that is where you get that reward.
Right.
That is where the best stuff comes is after you're willing to put in the work that other people are not willing to and
Yeah.
honestly do a lot of stuff that you don't like. I see a lot of people now who are unwilling to do things just because they don't like it or don't want to do it. And I think, man, what a disservice you are doing to yourself, to your children. Like you've got to be somebody who is willing to do crappy stuff.
Yes. You have to do what it takes to get to where you want to go. Or you
Yeah.
just have to do the things to survive, live,
Hmm.
all the things. There's things on a daily basis that I don't necessarily want to do, but we have to do. And so I kudos to our parents for making us
Yeah.
do the things we didn't want to do, right? So now it's to us raising kids just like that. Every day I feel like I'm screwing up that one, but it's fine. We're gonna make it. I have two boys, so I mean it's completely different because I'm a family of girls, so it's completely different. So it's fine. I feel like God gave me a little bit of grace with just boys, so we got that going for us.
I feel that. I totally feel that.
Well, anyway, so okay, last question. I think it's kind of funny because I thought of this, but does anyone ever say like, "Hey, is your operations like Yellowstone?"
Oh, all the time. I
Were
literally
you a fan of the show? Wait, let's start there. Were you a fan of the show, or was it one of those shows that, like, when doctors watched Grey's Anatomy, they're like, "This is so stupid"? Was it like that, or did you actually like it?
Yeah, all of the above, if that's an answer.
Okay.
So, and that yeah, I mean, I love that Yellowstone exists. I think that Taylor Sheridan did a wonderful job because especially with its timing, like 2020, people wanted to move out of the city. They wanted to go, find rural America. People again with what went on, like they wanted to be connected to their food system and they were kind of asking questions and I think that it really happened at the perfect storm, if you will, of opportunity. So I love that Taylor Sheridan shed a light on a very important piece of America because
Yeah.
without farmers and ranchers, we have to have food, right? We have to be able to have clothing and that is what their work provides. And so I do love it from that element. I will say the Duttons are rather wealthy and that is not at all how the rest of the world looks. Like, I don't have a helicopter. Do I
Right.
desperately wish I had a helicopter? Hell yeah, I do. Like,
Uh,
that lodge that they live in, it is decorated to the nines, like, that would be incredible, but that's not actually how life exists or how the world works and how it exists for us. As I feel like when it comes to a lot of obviously just like the negativity on the show, it is a drama, right? It is what it is. That is not how real life works. Minus the fact that we do kind of yell and swear at each other because working cattle in the heat of the moment, like, that's definitely a battle. But I will say that it wasn't necessarily my favorite to watch
Right.
because it hits so close to home. Like when I come home and I turn on the TV, I'm gonna watch something like Real Housewives because
Yes.
it is, like, mind-numbing to me.
Yeah.
It is. I am the same way with, like, a detective show that a
Yeah.
detective probably is with Yellowstone. They want to watch a show that they have no connection to because they don't want to be reminded of the problems in their daily life, and there are a lot of problems that Yellowstone showed that are very, very similar to what we deal with when it comes to like encroachment as far as people wanting to build subdivisions in farmland or public land issues. And, there's a lot of groups like PETA or Humane Society of the United States that want to put an end to animal agriculture. So those types of things, I mean, that's the stress that we deal with in every day.
Every
So
day.
it's not necessarily fun to go watch that stuff. I feel like I would lay awake for a couple hours afterwards and I'd be like
Yeah.
reminded of all of my problems. So no, I will tell you that I am going to pick Housewives over Yellowstone, but hats off to Taylor Sheridan. I think he did an incredible job.
Oh, I just was curious. I think it's like just cool to ask just because like you think like when people watch Grey's Anatomy, they're like, I can be a doctor. I say that shit all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
I watch Grey's Anatomy, like just call me, I'll pass out, but like I will do it for you. I'll be Derek Shepherd, whatever. It literally just dawned on me and I was like, let me just ask her this question while I'm here. But anyway, seriously, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Can you let everybody know the importance of what you do as a rancher and how they can support, where they can find you, all the things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm probably most active on Instagram. You can find me at Mrs. J Jarv, MRSJJARV. And then ofthewest.co is our web address for the job side of things. That's also where you'll find us on Instagram, ofthewest.co. Honestly, though, feel free to reach out. I'm super chatty, especially in the DMs. So come, ask questions, follow along, whatever that looks like. Thank you so much, Shelby. This was great.
You're so welcome. I feel like we could have talked for hours. I just think that like guys, go follow her. She's like just a breath of fresh air. And honestly, it's just intriguing because we know nothing, which I should probably not admit that because my brother-in-law and sister would probably kill me, but I know nothing about this world in a sense of what they do. So I'm just like excited to just follow along and support you however I can. Guys, if you like this episode, I'm gonna link everything in the show notes from her Instagram account to their website to everything. Y'all go show love, support. Send her a DM, let her know what you loved about this episode. Jessie, thank you so much for being here, guys. And if you would love to leave us a review, I would love it. So until next time, guys, have a great day.